Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar posted on social media saying Minnesota is known as the land of vice presidents, and we've got another great one on the way. As a veteran, a high school teacher and football coach, and our Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, has been an incredible leader, and on top of that, a good friend. Let's go win this. And I'm happy to have Senator Klobuchar joining me now for more on this. Senator, thank you for coming on. Talk me through this. It's great to have you. Why do you think Vice President Harris picked Governor Walz over some of the other names on the short list who are better known, like Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, both from critical battleground states? Why do you think she went in this direction instead of picking one of those two?
Let's make clear, they are incredible leaders, and there's no doubt about that. But I think what happened here is she had someone in Tim Walz that, one, she trusted, two, that she saw as someone that's going to bring something else to this ticket in a big way, and that is Midwest. That is rural. That is someone that represented a district for years in Congress that only 2 Democrats won in 100 years, served on the Veterans Committee, Ags Committee, signed up to serve in the Army National Guard when he was only 17 years old, and then decided to go into teaching and as a high school football coach. That's a different bio than you see sometimes in some of these national choices for vice president on tickets. And so I think I love that she went with someone so different. Someone who unites people instead of divides them. What a contrast that you see with the Trump ticket. And then finally, I just like Tim Walz. He's a good leader. He has shown that he can get stuff done across the aisle time and time again, and was able to build a coalition across our state of suburban, rural, and metro in many, many elections, but most importantly in bringing the state with him when we had to get things done. And as for our state, we have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. We also were just rated by CNBC as the 6th state in the nation for good for doing business in. So, you know, they can say what they want, but the facts don't lie.
And the campaign, the Harris campaign, is sure to lean on all of those things. But Governor Walz has also been criticized for his handling of the COVID pandemic in Minnesota, his handling of the George Floyd protests. How concerned are you about how vulnerable he is on those issues?
You know, I think every governor that dared to lead during that pandemic got criticized one way or the other, but actually we came out of it strong. Minnesota did, and came back quite quickly. As for the tragic murder of George Floyd, Tim Walz, again, made difficult decisions. He made the decision to call in the National Guard. At first, the peaceful protests were something that were embraced across the nation, but when they turned violent, he called in the National Guard and got some grief for doing it. And I'd also add, he was someone that when the defund the police ballot measure was on the ballot in the city of Minneapolis, both of us strongly opposed that measure. He added funding for police as governor, over $300 million. So I think that you will see someone who actually has stood with law enforcement and made some tough decisions. That's what leaders do. They make tough decisions.
That said, Senator, House Speaker Mike Johnson is also attacking what he calls Walz's disastrous record. Those are his words. He says Walz has voiced support for socialism, supports sanctuary cities, wants to give driver's license to millions of illegal immigrants. How do you expect Governor Walz to defend his record against these kinds of criticisms, especially on immigration?
Governor Walz has always been direct. And you're going to see someone that's going to take on these criticisms, but do it always with facts and with a smile on his face. And by the way, again, when you look at the unemployment rate, the economy in Minnesota, compared to some of these states where people are throwing darts at him, I can't wait for that debate because he is someone that has led our state by working with workers, by working with businesses, and got us on the other end. So this is going to be, to me, it's going to be a great debate, and I can't wait to see him in a room with J.D. Vance because Donald Trump chose to double down with Hulk Hogan and the like at his convention. Kamala Harris has chosen to bring someone in that she can trust. I know that. He's a good friend of mine. My mother-in-law actually brought a hot dish, chicken parmesan dinner to their home when their son Gus was born, because my husband grew up in the same town where Tim Walz taught. He is someone you can trust. Minnesota knows that, and he's someone that's going to bring that Midwestern, rural, common sense to a national ticket like we have not seen for a long, long time.
Now, former President Trump has said before that VP picks don't matter. He even said it earlier this week, that voters go to the polls to vote for the top of the ticket. And that said, they are already criticizing Walz as being ultra-liberal, something they have called Vice President Harris, saying that he is even more liberal than she is. How difficult will that line be when trying to appeal to moderate voters?
You know, I wish we had the days where people would welcome people to the ticket for at least one day. That's not the Donald Trump way. But I think what you're going to see, and you already see it in the polls, when President Biden made his selfless and honorable decision to take that honorable path and step down from the ticket, you saw the excitement across the nation for Kamala Harris. And that has built. These numbers aren't lying. The number of people that are showing up at her rallies, that is not a lie, and something that appears to really bother Donald Trump. The fact that they, on their ticket, just keep dividing. And when you look at social media and you see all of this, you know, cat ladies and him going after the Republican governor of Georgia again, doubling down on the fact that he made that call that there is a tape of where he asked for 11,000 votes in a corrupt manner to try to win an election that he didn't win. You know, that's what's going on their side. On our side, we got Brett Summer, we've got coconut tree memes, we've got Kamala filling stadiums, we've got a sense of joy and moving forward, tackling those tough issues of housing and child care. Kamala Harris has a record. She took on the pharmaceutical companies when Donald Trump only talked about it. And what you're going to see in Tim Walz is that same basic focus on improving people's lives. Because as Paul Wellstone of Minnesota always said, we all do better when we all do better.
All right, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. Senator, thank you.
Okay, great to be on. Thank you.
We appreciate it.